Advising notes. One of the main things that you'll have to keep track of when you're an advisor are advising notes. This is one of the basic tools that you will use to inform yourself, to help the student, and to inform others that need to know about the student's record. It keeps a history. So it's helpful for everybody that has a legitimate need to know. But some of the things you need to know about writing good notes is that you can only record facts, objective facts. They have to be relevant, clear, and descriptive and accurate. So basically, when you're writing notes, don't infuse them with your own opinions, subjectivity, your personal judgments. Never diagnose. And by diagnosing, I'm talking about, the counseling, advising continuum. Don't try to diagnose learning disabilities, psychosis, any of that. Don't give misleading information. Don't include emotional triggers, and never be critical of other faculty or staff in your notes. Now, basically, your advising notes will be part of the educational record, so it does fall under FERPA laws, and we'll talk about that in another presentation. But advisors do have an obligation to document their conversations with students. This whole advising notes, it makes advisors kind of nervous. A lot of them don't know what to put in, how much to put in, how little, and we'll talk a little more about that. Advisors should definitely discuss these notes with students, and as we discuss in FERPA, you can't keep secret notes about your students. You can't talk about your students in these notes. Have I seen that before? Oh, yeah. I'll just tell you a little story. I had an advisor that was writing in a student's file and wrote, "This student is a blockhead." You don't want to do that because guess what? Students have a right to see these notes. So you need to be descriptive, but be sure that what you're writing in there is something that you don't mind that the student sees, okay? So as long as you stick to the facts, you're in pretty good shape. So the purpose of the notes, granted, it helps the student to remember. It helps build your relationship with the student so you can go back and review and you'll remember. Because you might only see these students, once a year, once a semester. So you do need to keep those notes. It helps inform others. So like sometimes the note systems are connected to counseling centers, tutoring centers. If a student changes majors, they'll need that historical record. So before we had online notes at the University of Louisville, we had paper files, and those files would not follow the student. So if they changed majors, you'd lose all of that. And then to document advice and referrals. So when you're writing notes, ask yourself, all right, what do I need to know about this student? Do I want this reviewed? Do I care if this ends up, on the front page somewhere, or if the student sees it? Would this note cause more harm than good? So that's a question of benefits. And then if you're totally in doubt, then just don't write it down. So here's an example of an appropriate note. Student missed an appointment, needs to reschedule as soon as possible. Discussed repeating Math 111, which is our college algebra. I encourage the student to attend a study skills shop. Student needs to withdraw due to health issues. Discuss the impact of students' work schedule on course sequencing. So those are all perfectly acceptable notes. They're helpful to the student, they're helpful to the advisor, they're helpful to other university personnel that may see the student. Now these notes, they're not so cool. All right, I think the student has a learning disability, so I referred them to the DRC Disability Resource Center. That's diagnosing. Do not do that. Student has MS and needs to withdraw from courses. That's a little too much information, okay? You don't need to put in there that the student has multiple sclerosis. Student parties too much and misses class. That's subjective, all right? Even if you've seen them out, that is your opinion. Student is having a personal conflict with his political science professor. Again, you don't want to write. This is just subjective. You don't want to write about other faculty. And again, students was misadvised by previous advisor. You don't want to write about your colleagues in these notes. Now, these notes aren't wrong, but these following notes are just not really helpful. I mean, look at this. Met with a student. What does that tell you? Nothing. Made a referral. Again, where? Why? Advise student what to take next semester. This is the most common one I see with advisors. They write, advise student what to take. Well, what did you tell them? What did you tell them to take? Again, you have a duty to document. And you're covering, be quite honest, you're covering your butt. So you want to know what you told this student. A lot of times, students may misremember, or you may not remember correctly. But so you need to cover your butt, CYA, so that if a student comes back and says, well, you never told me that, or you told me this, you've got that record. Counseling, advising continuum. Now, this is where the two do connect. So good counseling notes are the same thing that you want to have in advising notes. Summary of discussion, the academic plan, what strategies you've set up, when they're going to take what, any homework you've given them, such as going to the tutoring center, going to a study skills workshop, and then follow-up plans. What do you want the student to call you back or email you, or how long do you want the student to wait before they see you again? All right, good notes. Here's some more examples. Student plans to graduate in 3 semesters by taking the following courses, whatever those are. Discuss the student's work schedule and the possibility of taking 15 hours a semester. Student will take college algebra and world history through a community college this summer. Student will let me know when he registers for courses. I will remind the student to have a transcript sent when the courses are complete. This is a note to yourself. And then students will attend tutoring and check in with me in three weeks. Those are all great notes. So you be the judge. You know, you've read the following notes on the previous slides. I mean, do you think these notes are appropriate? Here's an example. Student requested an untimed test accommodations, refer them to the Disability Resource Center. So do you think that's a good note? Okay, this note's okay. It states only the facts. It doesn't give a diagnosis, and it provides important information for a future advisor. So that's a pretty good note. Example 2. Student lost her job and is in financial distress. Refer her to the financial aid office. Okay, this one may contain a little more information than you need. It would be more appropriate just to say that the student asked you about funding options and you referred them to the financial aid office. It might be kind of, even though it's the truth, it might be kind of embarrassing for the student if it was out there that the student lost her job. She may not want everybody to know that. That might be a confidentiality issue that you discuss with her. Here's the last one. Student stopped by the front desk and requested I speak with her. Student stated that she doesn't fit in on campus, so I walked her to this counseling center. Now think about this. Is this a good note? Actually, it might seem like it's too much information, but it is, in fact, a very appropriate note. Even though the student doesn't appear to be an immediate threat to self or others, you should note the referral, that you did walk the student to the counseling office and why. So a lot of this is a judgment call, but as long as you stick to the facts, you make appropriate notes, you include an appointment summary, you're detailed in regard to student plans, then you're fine with your notes, okay? If you're ever in doubt, you can always ask your legal counsel, but, you know, it really shouldn't be that hard, people. And once you get used to doing it, I mean, it's kind of hard at first, err on the side of caution, but once you get used to doing it, you'll get a lot better at it. So be sure to set aside time either during or after the appointment to make entries into the student files. A lot of advisors don't like to be typing while the students are sitting there with them, so if you do wait until after the appointment, jot down some notes so that you do get it accurate. Again, the more practice you have, the better.